Hello there, my name is Alan Knowles. I am a Cryx player in War Machine, and this is my first battle report. I'm just going to do the pictures and the audio voiceover, so bear with me. I'm going to try and get some video reports up later, but for now, this is what I got. So anyways, today I played at my local game store, Pandemonium in Cambridge, the Everard Boys Gaming Club. We meet together every Thursday night, throw around some dice, and more often than not, we play War Machine and Hordes. So I'm going to TempleCon on February 3rd through the 5th, which is also my birthday that Friday, so I'm hoping they'll bring me extra luck in the tournament with the teammates. So to get ready for that, I brought my 50-point E-Scar list. I warned my opponent ahead of time that it is kind of a douchey list because, well, it's E-Scar with Deathjack and Nightmare. No Tartarus, though, but you did have Durlac, so, you know, it's Cryx, it's a competitive list, so I make no apologies. But basically what I brought was E-Scar, I brought Deathjack and Nightmare, obviously. I brought 10 Mechanic Thralls, Necrosurgeon and Body Snatchers, Warwitch Siren, Night Wretch for the Arc Node, 6 Vile Thralls, 10 Blood Gorgers, Durlac, and a Pistol Wraith. And I think that was about it. He brought E-Scorcha. He proxied one of his Manhunters with one of my Bane Knights, and then he had a minimum sized unit of Winter Guard, the command unit for it, or command attachment, and 1 Rocketeer. Then he had 2 Juggernauts, a Destroyer, a Kodiak, 5 Shock Troopers, a full unit of Mechanics, the War Dog, and Sorcha herself. We just did regular caster kill, 10-inch deployment each, and just decided to go for it. So, alright, let's see what happened turn 1. Alright, so top of turn 1 was mine. Before anything else happens, I also had a Scarlock, forgot to mention that. But Nightmare chose the Juggernaut on the far left side of the board to be his prey. Basically after that, I gave 1 focus to the Nightmare and no focus to anybody else. Siren power boosted the Night Wretch, and he ran up the flank. Deathjack moved forward a little bit. Everybody else just ran, pretty much. Scar cast Admonition on Deathjack, and then charged him, obviously not reaching an ending her activation. This is my actually first game with Nightmare, so I screwed up with him a little bit. I was originally going to have him go through the woods with Ghostly, but I only put 1 focus on him, so he's only able to, run. Not quite as far as I'd like. Kind of got stuck behind some trolls, but it's not too bad as far as mistakes go, especially this early in the game. So otherwise, general advance, make my opponent shake a little bit, and that was that. All right. Okay, so my opponent's turn 1. Nothing too spectacular. Basically, he had his Manhunter run over to the ruins, the columns, and was hiding behind that. And then his Winter Guard ran over, shuffled around a little bit. Next to the hill, his Kodiak moved up. By the way, his Kodiak was bonded to E-Sorcia, so this was about when I found out about this. So if I ended an activation within 2 inches of it, that model is going to become stationary. So I knew Deathjack had to kill that thing dead, like, now. So that comes up later, but basically the Destroyer moved up, took a shot at Deathjack, for some reason didn't shoot at the clump of infantry, scattered, and it killed the Bile Thrall behind him. Otherwise, the marked, for prey, Juggernaut, he ran behind the front lines just to kind of reposition to help out with dealing with Deathjack. And I think that was about it. Otherwise, he just advanced a little bit, 4 inches, with the Juggernaut and the Shock Troopers locked up in Shield Wall. And then Sorcha cast, Iron Flesh on the Winter Guard, and then they also had the Bob and Weave order from their commanders, so they were like defense 17. Oh no, Bile Thralls don't give a shit. Okay. Well, this was a fun turn. So, top of my turn 2, I gave 3 focus to the Deathjack. I upkept Admonition, and believe I gave one to the Nightmare as well. Basically, the big, you know, the big highlight of this match was the Deathstalk or Deathjack ran forward or charged forward, and hit the Kodiak. He was rolling like dice -2 with his power 18 claws, and he hit him 3 times with his initial attacks, and then twice more with his extra attacks. Didn't boost any of it, just bought more attacks, and the last one was enough to put him in with 2 points left over. So that was good because obviously I didn't want my Deathjack to be stationary the next turn. Otherwise, Mechanothralls ran forward, jammed up his center line pretty hard. Trolls kind of lurked around behind. Biothralls kind of shuffled around, and I considered feeding with Scar, but I didn't see anything that was too threatening at that point. I thought Deathjack would be okay up on the hill. He seemed a respectable distance away from, the Juggernaut, and I wasn't too worried with the Destroyer. Pistol Wraith just ran around the flanks a little bit. Trolls moved up, and Scarluck tried to cast I believe it was maybe he did. Oh, he tried to cast Death Ward on the Deathjack, but I realized he'd be out of the way because he'd already moved. So instead, he just cast it on the Nightmare, and Scar upkept Admonition on the Deathjack. So, alright, that was that. So this turn was a little painful. So, big thing was Deathjack didn't quite see that coming, but this is how it happened. So basically, Sorsha gave out 1 focus to the Destroyer, 3 to the Juggernaut in front of her, and kept 2 for herself. Winter Guard charged Deathjack. He admonitioned away, so 3 inches down the hill. 3 of them, redirected their charges, or not redirected, but decided to charge the Siren instead. They all missed, and the other guys, they just kind of stood around. I think they took some shots, but they all missed. So that was okay. Then he shuffled to the left slightly with all of his shock troopers to kind of get out of the way of his Juggernaut a little bit. All 5 of them took swings at my Mechanothralls, and only 1 actually hit, killing him instantly. But that was kind of sucky for him. I kind of put him in a sour mood, rolling out that many 3s and 4s. But anyways, his Manhunter came springing out of the woods, charged 2 trolls, killed 1, but failed to kill the other. And trying to see if there's anything else in my notes. He did try and kill the other troll, and he wounded it, but it toughed it out. So, sucks for him. All right, so that was his turn. Not too much else besides Deathjack going down, but I mean that's Deathjack going down. That hurts no matter how you cut it. So, all right, we'll see how I respond. All right, this is my turn 3, and this is the fearsome E-Scar Feet turn. I start off by giving the Nightmare 3 focus and keeping the rest on Scar. I think she dropped all of her upkeeps that were in play at that time. Scar could cast them again, so who cares? Anyways, the troll got back. Oh, the troll actually wasn't knocked down because of Durlax's no sleeping on the job ability, so he just turned around, killed that Manhunter pretty easily. Otherwise, the trolls moved in to where they could. One of them charged the Juggernaut, didn't do anything to him, and missed all the other. Well, not missed, but failed to do any damage to the shock troopers. The Mechanothralls, 3 of them came back from the Necrosurgeon, and they just kind of piled on to the shock troopers. I think they did 3 and 2 damage to the guys in the center, but not anything to write home about. Biothralls just kind of wobbled around aimlessly because they couldn't really get up a good purge without killing a bunch of my own guys. Nightmare charged into the Juggernaut, and since that was his prey target, he just beat the ever-living snot out of it, just used the extra focus for additional attacks, and wrecked the poor thing. He decided then to choose the Destroyer as his next prey. I was tempted to use Sorsha, but this is my first game with him, so I felt like if I could just kill the other, big threat, although his threat, at this close of range is, debatable. But either way, I figured it would help getting through that armor if I did have to face it before I went for the kill with Sorsha. Otherwise, the Siren moved back a little bit. She power boosted the Night Wretch who ran forward, And then Scar moves forward, and she cast her spell, cut herself for 5, and made it so Sorsha and the destroyer couldn't make attacks. And then the Arc Node, Nightmare, and herself could not be the target of attacks. And the look on my opponent's face was one of pure misery, and I loved it. Oh, and by the way, one Bile Thrall moved up 5 inches, purged and killed all those Winter Guard, and corroded the destroyer. Just gone. That was nice. And then I ran my Pistol Wraith up into the back to start threatening Sorsha, since she was the only thing with magical weapons, and she's gonna have to either run away from him or devote some time to take him out. So either way, it was a nice interference run. So on his turn 3, his shock troopers activated first. They didn't move, just stayed in shield wall, killed a couple Mechana Thralls. Most importantly, the one that was in front of Slaughterborn, which allowed the Juggernaut to move forward, kill Slaughterborn and another troll, both of them failing their tough saves, unfortunately. Then Sorsha, she moved back a bit to engage the Pistol Wraith in combat with Reach. So if he tried to move out, he would be taking a free strike. Dog did not engage him, but was nearby to potentially grab some skeletal bones if he apparated. And chew on those a bit. The Destroyer moved back. He I forgot to mention on my last turn, Bile Thrall took a spray at some destroyers and shock troopers and a mechanic. Missed on all but the one guy who has the green token who was corroded. But yeah, the destroyer just moved back, so I wouldn't be able to charge it with my my Nightmare. So yeah, nothing too serious this turn. It looks looking pretty good for me. You know how they say, don't get overconfident because you'll get cocky and then you'll screw up? That happened to me this turn. So basically, in my my eagerness to get started on the turn and just start bogging him down and getting to his jacks and everything, I completely forgot to allocate focus. Didn't give anything to Nightmare. And by the time I had finished attacking with my trolls, who charged, they killed one mechanic, didn't cause any terror, did scratch the paint on the Juggernaut a little bit, did about 2 points of damage. I realized that my mistake, so I used a Siren to, give him Ghostly, or rather give the focus for him to use to go Ghostly, move through the Rex, because otherwise he wasn't going anywhere fast. He did go a little bit faster because it was within 10 inches of his prey, so that made him speed 8, which was nice. It's basically running for a Kahdor Jack. Speaking of running, Scar just ran 14 inches on top of the hill next to Death Jack, just to keep herself safe, but close enough to start threatening Sorsha. Mechana Thralls, they just kept combo striking, scratched the paint some more on the Juggernaut, maybe doing another 5 points of damage, but to the hull system, so nothing there. Returned more Mechana Thralls with my Necrosurgeon. They continued to chip away at the shock troopers, not doing too much damage though, just a point or 3 here and there. Trolls about the same, but not much better. And moved up the Arc Node just to block any charges from the Destroyer towards Nightmare. And Scarlet moved up. Couldn't even cast Death Ward. I realized Nightmare was yet again out of range. So still getting used to Nightmare and Jacks. I need focus. Typically, I take the Seether and the Death Jack, and they're good to go, even if I forget to give them extra focus. But I gotta remember Nightmare. He's a hungry little kid. So all right. So I forgot to activate the Pistol Wraith. We decided to roll a die to see if I said if it's my bad. On a 5-up, I'll activate it. I rolled a 4, so whatever. It's my own fault. So let's see what happens next. So, despite my opponent's glum outlook on the game, since his dice were pretty much cursed, he was hard pressed to roll above a 5 and only rolled high when it was time to check for corrosion going out. I decided to take a picture of the middle scrum because that looked pretty cool. All the action was kind of going on in the back lines with Nightmare and Scar and Sorsha and the Pistol Wraith, but the main battle, the one that didn't really matter, looked pretty cool. So just a quick little picture of that. All right, around here things start to turn for the better for my opponent. He moves the Destroyer up a little bit more. The Man of War or Shock Troopers actually started to connect more and kill off a few more Mechanothralls. Juggernaut does the same. I think he killed the Troll and a couple other Mechanothralls. Sorsha kills the Pistol Wraith, and the dog moves in front of her. Not too devastating, but the fact that he's still alive with two heavies and nigh unkillable, shock troopers was kind of annoying me. So not bad for him. Oh, and he repaired the damage with his mechanics. So that was good for him. Alright, so I was getting kind of tired of this game at this point, so I kind of just made a little, I don't know, we'll say just questionable. And basically, I purged with one of my Bile Thralls and killed a fair chunk of my own stuff. I'd say about 3 Mechanothralls, 2 Trolls, and only 1 Shock Trooper, I think. Then corroded the other 3, except for the last one, but not quite worth it. I also, for some reason, I tried to Perdition one of his Shock Troopers, thinking I could move the Nightmare a little bit further forward. Then I realized I needed a 12 to actually damage him and have it trigger, so that was kind of a waste of a spell slave, but oh well. Then the Nightmare ran forward into the back arc of the Destroyer, a little bit closer to Scar to start threatening her for next turn. Scar backed up a little bit after giving focus to one of the Jacks to run. Siren gave him the other focus. Bile Thralls, rest of them shifted around a little bit. Mechanothralls continued to combo strike, scratch the paint, not too heck of a lot. And I believe one of the Trolls went down to one of the mechanics and killed a couple more of those. So not a big turn, but not a lot of stuff left. All right. This turn was rough. This is almost as bad as losing Death Jack. Basically, Sorsha moved over and cast her spell, which made my guy stationary on Death Jack. She needed an 8 or so, boosted it, hit him, and I believe she gave the 1 focus to. No, then she feeded. Gave 1 focus to the Destroyer, who then turned around, walked over to the Nightmare and hit him twice, both automatically hitting, doubling the damage. He'd already taken some damage before from, I think, the Juggernaut or something like that from before, and it was enough to scrap him. So that was rough. And then the rest of my Mechanothralls began to just disappear under the onslaught of his Shock Troopers, and I think he killed a Bile Thrall as well. So that was unfortunate, to say the least. So, let's see if I can come back from this. Alright, this is a tighter picture because it's a tighter game. So basically, I moved up my Bile Thralls. I decided, after combo striking with my last 2 Mechanothralls, just kind of dinging the paint again on the Juggernaut, and clipping the furthest guy to the left for a little more damage. I purged over both of them. I managed to kill 2 more of the Shock Troopers, which were finally starting to drop after all the little dents that they'd sustained over the course of the game. Killed everyone except for my last Mechanothrall out in the corner. Thought about purging with my last Bile Thrall. I thought, no, I'll keep him. Maybe I can get him up to Scar. The Troll charged the dog, so he didn't get off the counter charge. Killed the dog. Then he attacked Scar but missed. I ran the Night Wretch over behind her in her back arc, so I could maybe arc some spells later. And then Scar ran up right in front of the Destroyer with the wreck marker of the Nightmare in between, and got Admonition cast on her by the Scarlock. And then the Siren charged the Destroyer, but she missed with her attacks. She needed a 5 to roll a 4, so no Shadowbind, unfortunately. So that was that. Alright, so in this turn, it's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, the Juggernaut turned around, killed the last Mechanothrall. Scar cycloned out of combat. She spent 3 focus to kill the Knight, the Siren rather. Boosting to hit, but missing. So I had to spend 3 focus to finally take her out. Shock Troopers moved around. They killed one of their corrosions went out. The other one of them killed the Scarlock. The other one killed the last Bile Thrall. And then the Destroyer, for some reason, decided to turn around and take a shot at my Troll, but it missed and deviated off of him. At this point, my opponent declared that the game was over and that it was a draw. When I asked him why, he responded that, well, the game ends at turn 6. And I said, no, that's not really the way it goes. Maybe in Warhammer, um, but you keep playing until the game's over in War Machine. And he said, oh, well, that was like, if I had known that, then I would have moved Sorsha way off into the side of the board and just ran away from me the whole game. So unfortunately, even though I was primed to destroy her the next turn with a fully charged Scar, um, it was sort of, if it was a victory for me, it was a hollow victory because he did not know that the game would continue. Therefore, he acted in a way that kind of put him in jeopardy for the next turn and basically handed me the game if we continued to play. We decided just to call it. I consider it a wash, basically. But it was my first time using Nightmare, so I enjoyed the game after kind of cooling down a little bit for the frustration of realizing that I'd been, I don't know, mistaken, or at least it's just miscommunication in I guess game length terms. But I mean, it was good. I liked it. I had to remember to keep Nightmare safe and keep some sort of spell on him, whether it was Death Ward, which might have protected him on feet turn, would have been like 8 or more less damage coming to him because all the damage they got over his armor 17 was doubled, and that was well, obviously deadly. Also remembering to give him enough focus so he can run and imprint Ghostly. Uh, Deathjack, I did not see the Juggernaut doing that much damage as he did. I think he rolled like 11s and 18s or whatever, some ridiculous amount of dice when doing the damage, but I should have been a little bit more careful with him as well. Again, maybe death warding him as well. But overall, I was pretty happy with it. I think that where I really went wrong was when I started to purge my own guys, giving him just the room to start moving around with the shock troopers more and freeing him up to maybe threaten Scar. But then again, had he known that the game wasn't going to end at turn 6, he might play completely differently. So either way, it was a fun exercise. I'm sorry that I don't have a bone crushing victory to report to you guys. Either way, but I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this and maybe learned a little bit either that I'm a really bad player or a bad podcaster, or just something about the game. Hopefully, something about the game. And yeah, so thanks for bearing with me. I hope to do more of these, maybe next time in video, so you can see what I look like. I pity you. And yeah, that's about it. Have a good night, and keep rocking with your socks off.